You're dumbass, mouthy Marvin. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. It is your favorite warlock, practicing necromancer. And for those of you who are listening to a cat meowing in the background, that was Bella. My first familiar from when I lived in Texas. And she's about 9 years old now. So she's kind of needy. She's a Siamese flame point little girl. So very needy kitties, very vocal, as you can hear. And I'm pretty sure she's in a playful mood at the moment. Welcome to For Health Cat Food. I like the Untamed series for him because it has everything the other brands have, including what your vet recommends. And it'll take an elder cat like my Bella and turn her into a kitten. It's amazing how that does that. And the funny thing is, Diamonds makes it specifically for Tractor Supply. Only place you'll find it. But here it is. Today's topic is actions versus stagnation. Basically, you have a right to be stagnant if you so choose. But I want you to consider all avenues of stagnation and what it entails. You look at a couch potato. Okay, what is a couch potato? A couch potato is somebody that sits on their ass 24/7 and watches TV while other people wait on them. It is basically someone who has ceased to do things for themselves. Look at the main body of the JCI. Look at the main body of most of the culture, or cultures worldwide. They have fallen into such a rut. This, how should I say this? Do as I say, not as I do type attitude. Basically, they accept the established normalities, the norms, the established norms. Doesn't matter if it's in the workplace or it's in the world. Doesn't matter if it's in the home or in your magical practice. If you're in school, for an example, your job is to learn. The teacher is the one that has to teach you, especially about your field of study and practice. But even a teacher or a professor will not do the work for you. They will give you a brief overtone of what each subject entails. To go in depth into those studies and practices, well, guess what? That's on you, my friend. That is on you. For an example, if somebody comes to me claiming that a spirit is the only thing that can help them, an entity is the only thing that can help them, and I recommend, say, for an example, a herbal remedy or a phylactery, well, I can pay you after everything's said and done. No, it don't work that way. Okay, you see, there's a balance factor in the world. So when you look at things, I want you to take a look at this. A couch potato, like I said, will want everybody to give them everything up front. Christians accept the established norm of they're so powerful nobody can stand against them. But yet, how many Christians have fallen in many years due to disease, due to criminal law, due to death or accidents or whatever, and they say it's God's will. It's God's will. So it's God's will for you to commit murder. It's God's will for you to steal. It's God's will for you to commit crimes such as rape, or how about adultery even? That's God's will, right? Hmm. I'm pretty sure you haven't read the Ten Commandments. In fact, I bet you don't even know what part of the Bible that this stuff is under. You can't even quote chapter and verse. You see, that's part of being a couch potato because you have all these ministers or these few ministers out there that are actually just giving you the information. They're not giving you sources, they're not giving you chapters or verses. Some of them will sit there and go, okay, we're going to go into the book of, let's go with, let's go with book of Matthews, chapter 7, verse 2. Okay? Before you can remove the speck from your brother's eye, you must first remove the big wooden log from your own. Okay? But what about Mark chapter 5, 25 through 35, where it says that you need to go and apologize to your brother or sister before they cry raka and you get turned over to the judge, jury, authorities, and the fucking executioner. Wow. Yeah. You see, they don't teach this stuff in seminary school. In fact, they don't even teach this stuff in churches. And trust me, I've been to quite a few of them as a brewer, okay? As a necromancer, and as a Satanist. And I can tell you that a lot of these people just show up and all they want to do is judge. But yet, like I said, Matthew's chapter 7, verse 2, or should I go back to verse 1 where it says, judge not that ye not be judged? Ooh, they don't like that. They don't like being told what to do. It's like being in the workplace, right? They don't like being told what to do. They don't even like you standing up for yourself because it means that they cannot control you. They can't control the way you think, the way you speak, the way you dress, the way you handle yourself. You know, the funny thing is I'm getting ready to be promoted at work, and the funny thing is that they brought me into the office to update me on these latest procedures that are going on in the company. And it's funny because of the fact that the very last thing that they brought in front of me was about humor. Humor. Somebody got a hair across their ass because a couple employees decided to tell some jokes. Oh my fucking God. Have you become that weak minded or that weak willed that you get butthurt over a fucking joke? People can't even tell jokes anymore. Oh my God, it hurt my little feelings. Oh, boo hoo. Get a fucking life. But here it is. It doesn't matter if you're in the workplace, you still have to learn, you still have to grow. And if you allow yourself to become stagnant in your own personal responsibilities, that means it is your responsibility to learn about your craft, to constantly reach out to various different sources, references, links. The reason I go to different churches Doesn't matter if it's Wiccan. It doesn't matter if it's pagan. It doesn't matter if it's Christian. Hell, I'm even willing to go to a satanic organization. When I lived in Texas, there was a Gothic church. I have to I have to say that was an interesting place to go. I did not see that shit coming. Drove an hour and a half to Dallas. Another 45 minutes to go through all the city to get to that location. To spend 4 hours there only to come back to the interstate about 30 to 40 minutes. And then another hour and a half back to where I lived. The point is that as a minister, you have to be updated on the latest things. You have to be knowledgeable on various different aspects of ministry. I reached out to an email that came to my Gmail, for an example. And it was based off funerary things. Now, as a necromancer, my job, my studies, and my practices, my own personal responsibility is to educate myself on all things death and surrounding death. That means being sickness, that means communication with family, cultures, the communities, and most importantly, different associations such as hospice, medical, say for example, thanatology. How about anthropology, where it's the study of cultures from 4 different perspectives? Okay. How about funerary rites? Every single culture, every single religion has different funerary rites, different methods, different belief structures. And this has gone back hundreds of thousands of years. Okay. Why do you think people get into archaeology? You don't hear much about archaeology at all. A lot of people today think, oh, I want to become a CNA because I want to help people. I want to be in the thick of things. But they don't realize the toll that it takes on the back, on the joints, on the body itself. The fact that you deal with that alone should be enough, right? No. Then you have to deal with coworkers and the abuse that comes along with dealing with coworkers. You have to deal with the abuse and the cold-hearted facts that upper management doesn't give 2 shits about you. My son's mother, for an example, is a CNA. She holds the rank of MA. She's an HBP. She is a CNA. She is a medical coder, basically dealing with billings and billing and all things associated with that department. Okay. But yet, even with all those degrees, she was let go from her job. Why? Because she stuck up for herself and they could not handle it. So they let her go. And this was shortly after, she found out that she was getting evicted from her current location. Now, what's funny is you think that family and friends would be there for you, right? Nope. Her family, her parents don't even do shit. You don't need an emotional support animal. You shouldn't even gotten the dog. You shouldn't even have cats. You shouldn't do this. You shouldn't do that. You need to make this right. We have a responsibility. We have an image. We have a professionalism with this person. What about your daughter? What about your responsibility to your daughter? She just found out she's getting evicted. She just lost her job 2 days later. It's been a hell of a month for her. Hell, it's been a hell of a year. I mean, you've already lost one child to suicide, and you're treating it as a medical, how should I say this, in a medical professional opinion. States of narcissism, narcissistic tendencies, disassociation, disconnected from humanism. Hmm. Welcome to being Christian, or in their state, Baptist. Hmm. The thing they hate most about their daughter, my son's mother, is that ever since she met me, she has educated herself. She's gotten a double major, got her license, owned 3 cars, got her own apartment on her own, and chose to better her life. You see, this is action. This is taking responsibility for your life. This is about doing what's right and what's needed. Think of it as, for an example, you're getting into, let's say, for an example, construction. Don't you think it would be wise to do research on the machines that you're going to be operating? Hmm. What if it breaks down? How do you work on the engine? How do you diagnose an engine on a bulldozer? How about a backhoe? Or, say, for an example, a crane? Hmm. In fact, if you don't study, let's say, the land, how do you put down a road? You just gonna keep patching it up and then sit there, well, how do we deal with all these sinkholes? But yet we're going to continue spending tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands even, just to patch up the roads. Why not just take it down to the bare minimal and do it right the first time? You see, actions versus stagnation. You see, it's like politics. All these people want to bitch about Trump. They want to bitch about Biden. Is anybody going to do anything about it? No. The government, down to the legal system, is trampling over your commandment rights. And it's funny because people in Australia know that the United States of America is nothing more than a Titanic going down slowly. That's a sad fact. I was talking with a sister from Australia, and she said that even people over there have heard that this country is in turmoil. It's failing. It's a slow strangulation. It's ready. It's like a bomb ready to explode. And that's the funny thing, is because when people from other countries are seeing this, but the people that live here in this country don't even see it at all. They sit there and they say, "Oh, segregation is a thing of the past." Really? Then if that's the thing of the past, why does it take that things like 9/11, or, say, for an example, this thing with a parent being electrocuted to death for things to change? How about Floyd, for an example? The whole thing with Floyd and the officers. They murdered him, But yet, what happened? Oh, they get a 30 years in jail. One gets life in jail without possibility of parole. Whatever happened to the old biblical saying, life for a life, blood for blood, tooth for a tooth, eye for an eye? In Islam, you hurt somebody, you give them 30 camels. 30 camels. I mean, what if you're fucking dirt ass poor? Where the fuck do you get 30 camels? Okay? So you can sit there and murder people. You can drop nuclear weapons on other countries, but it's not real to the American people. Because it's okay because it's on foreign soil. Government's wise. They know what they're doing. Really? Has history not taught you that humanity is the worst thing ever to be created? You look at what you've done to each other over hundreds of thousands of years. You say you've evolved, but yet you haven't. I was talking with my mother just a little bit ago, and we were talking about Opal, our newest family to the family, our new family member. She's a Siberian Husky, white, pure white, double coated, you know, beautiful pup. Beautiful animal, loving, 11-month old. 11 months. Been in the household 2 weeks. Just 2 weeks. People are like, you only had her for 2 weeks and she's this tame? What the fuck? Well, if anybody's ever done their research on a dog or a breed of dog, such as a Siberian Husky, then they would realize that these animals were built for endurance. Stagnation is not in their DNA. They're meant for endurance. They're built and bred for endurance. These are very active, intelligent animals. And as I told my mother, me and this dog are built the same way. We'd rather be out on the trails in the middle of the woods than to be around other people. Why? I don't trust people. I don't like people. Perhaps it's because I've been betrayed too many times, lied to, manipulated, used. But it's there. So, how do you learn from your mistakes if you don't allow yourself to acknowledge there's an issue? What is the root cause of that issue? Okay? What is the root cause of that issue? Now let's take it a step forward. Let's go into your magical studies. Let's go into your rituals and rites. If you're doing the same goddamn thing day in and day out, you'd be better off to go up to a fucking concrete wall and just bash your head against it because that's all you're doing. Okay? If you are wearing blinders, you're not going to see when to adapt, when information was given to you. When what you asked for and what you were seeking has already been given. You come and you say, I need this, but yet you're going to sit there and go, well, a spirit is what I need. A spirit. I need a spirit. Really? You're so focused on a spirit that you don't realize the practitioner's already given you the name of a spirit to go to. Or, say, for an example, a trinity of spirits that would benefit you. Or how about an herbal remedy? Because certain remedies put together can bring fortune. Others can make you sick. Others can heal you? Or better yet, how about rituals or rites that can benefit you? But you've got to be the one to put it forth because it's that connection, right? Hmm. Well, if you're not paying attention because you're so focused and narrow minded on the objective, you're not going to see that the results have already been given to you way back there. Way back there. It's already been given. You can sit there and you can call 24/7, you can text 40,000 times a day. It doesn't change the fact you've already been given that information. The world puts out new products. Is it really new? Think about that. Black jeans, black t shirts, people wearing black nowadays, acid wash jeans. Did you forget these things were popular 40 years ago? 50 years ago, even? People are now getting into red velvet. Did you forget this stuff was originally around the 1950s? A man who does not learn from history is doomed to repeat it. So what so when are you going to start learning? When are you going to start taking action and taking responsibility for your own studies? Because I want you to picture it this way. If you are stagnant in your studies, then you will be stagnant in your rituals. You'll be stagnant in all aspects of your life. In 6 years, I have studied so much on various different topics of death. I've written 7 essays in 6 years. In 6 years, 7 essays. And I still have so much more to go through just to put it into an essay. Because number one, I'm writing a book to show you what is, not what is today. But more of the fact is, I'm getting rid of the corruption. I'm getting rid of the lies, the watered down BS. And I'm showing you exactly what can be done, what has been done. Because you're not learning from history, you're just being given something and saying, hey, it's okay. I pat you on the back, say, it's okay. You don't have to do the work. You can remain stagnant. I'll give you that golden spoon. No, that's not my responsibility. That's yours. That's your responsibility. And that's the thing that a lot of people don't get. You know, I was talking with my son's mother, and we were talking about certain things, herbal things. And I told her, I said, why don't you just ground up some ground ginger, palm of your hand, add a little bit of water, make it into a paste, and apply it to your heel. She says, what does that do? I said, number one, it kicks off the healing process. Number two, it takes away the burn. Wow. Interesting. Well, I don't want kidney stones. I had somebody say, well, I have kidney stones. Well, why don't you drink lemon juice? Get some lemons, drink some juice. Well, what does that do? Well, for starters, it prevents gallbladder and kidney stones. Number two, lemons flat out are blood purifiers. Now, I had a boss when I worked for Winterberry Heights. When I worked for Winterberry Heights, there was this chef. He was the chef. And it was funny because of the fact that this man has gone through every medical field there is. And I'm not joking, medical field, because of his legs. And it has everything to do with blood. So I gave him several things that he could do. I said this will take a little bit of time, but you will soon see results. This is why doesn't my doctors recommend this stuff? And I said because they're idiots. Everything they know about is grown in a fucking lab. It's not. It's all generic. It's fake shit. I mean, yeah, some of it actually works, like the anti-inflammatories. They work. The stuff that they put, dental hygienists put in your gum line to make you numb while they drill works wonders. And I don't doubt that. But doctors don't know shit about herbalism. I'm drinking peppermint tea. Why? Because mint. Mint is an immune booster. It's an immune booster. Anything with mint will boost your immune system. It'll help prevent you from getting sick. You want to help prevent most cancers? Eat garlic. Wow. Amazing, right? Now, how would you know that if you didn't study it? If I did not study herbalism, if I didn't study poisons, I wouldn't know what each thing could do from making you sick to being a lethal dose. If I hadn't studied fruits and vegetables, I wouldn't know what they can do for the human body. You see, a good practitioner is not stagnant. They're constantly learning, they're constantly growing. If everybody does this and takes action and takes responsibility for their own learning, they earnestly seek things out for themselves, they'd be so much more better. Instead, you got about 90 to 95% of all these occultists. They're supposed to be occultists and claiming to be occultists, going to people like me, going to people like Bokor Leonard Elmira, going to my elders, going to other practitioners from various different religions. I find it so amusing. Most of them, I just sit there and I laugh at them. It's like, you are so stupid, so pathetic. You're you're so fake. Why don't you just step up to the plate and do what you claim you do? Recently, what I've been doing is I have been delving into sigilliums. I have been dealing with phylacteries of various different types. I've been experimenting with them. Different things from various religions that I practice. Putting things together, separating them, breaking them down to their base chemical based components, and then putting them back together. Why? Because I'm curious. I want to know what makes them so fucking powerful. When I make phylacteries such as amulets, such as talismans, totems, or say for an example, relics, for me, I want to make them better. I want to make them more potent. I want them to be able to do what I make them to do. But more so, I want to know what makes them tick. Is it the belief that somebody has in it? Is it the fact that they sit there and pray over it? Yeah, when I first started learning about phylacteries, it came from the Jewish perspectives and the Hebrew, the Arabic perspectives of phylacteries. And what's interesting is when you get into Simsara, which means which basically translates from Arabic into English as assassin, it means you are creating something to do a thing of murder, if you will. Be it if you're being attacked, you want something of protection, okay, that will prevent that weapon from coming to you and reaching you. If you are creating a wanga, for example, which is a Haitian um, relic for cursing, okay, be it in a gris gris, a mojo bag, or whatever you want to call it. It could be a as something as trivial as, say, for an example, a thing of clay. It could be something of silver. It could be something of, say, for an example, bones, crushed eggs, whatever. Eggshells scattered across the front of your door so that when you step out, you're going over it. It could be something as trivial as a voodoo doll that's made of paper, clay, or a doll itself, even an ear of corn. The husk formed around sticks to make a voodoo doll. They have something that is linked between the doll, the spell, and the target. How do you know this if you don't break it down and you don't experiment with it? You see, taking action allows for growth. It allows you to become more potent in your sorcery. Knowledge is power, and Anton Zandaleve had that right. Knowledge is power, and true power is undefiled wisdom. Faith in those objects, the belief in those objects is outstanding. There is no doubt in my mind. There is a definite link between all of it. Finding out how it works is all that's left. And then once you learn how to make it, then you can try to master it, create it for yourself to help with your own practices. Just like any spell work, spell casting, does not matter what it is. See, I specialize in vile and baneful magics. I specialize in curses and hexes because that's what I do. I'm good at it. Yeah, I'm also getting into protections. I'm getting into, well, let's just call it various different types of magics from a Brugerio manner. Okay. But it's always coming from a necromantic perspective, death magic. That's what I work with. That's what I do. It's who I am. And I built my reputation off of it. So if you want to be one of those stagnant people, you're just going to be left in the dark. You're going to be left in the background because you're not worth anybody's time or effort. Step up or step down. Whatever you preach, always back it up with numerous sources and always make yourself available to the public because you are responsible for what you do and say. All right? I got to go pick up my son from school and then take the dog to the trails in the park. So, have a good one, and until next time.